Hey guys, welcome to F1 Pit Lane, your go-to spot for all things Formula One. News, drama, race breakdowns, we've got it all. Let's get into it. Alright, so where do we even start? Because honestly, what just happened at Imola, man, that was brutal. Ferrari, the team that should always be fighting at the front, just missed the top 10 in qualifying for the first time ever at this track. Yeah, this was bad. Charles Leclerc, P11. Lewis Hamilton, P12. And both of them gutted. Now, before we dive into exactly what went wrong, here's a quick ask. If you love F1 and want more deep dives like this, hit that like button. And hey, if you think Ferrari can bounce back in the race, drop a comment below with your predictions. Also, if you're new here and love no nonsense, detailed F1 analysis, subscribe now so you never miss a breakdown. Alright, strap in. This episode is gonna get brutal. And here's the real heartbreak. This wasn't just any qualifying session, this was Imola. This is Ferrari's home. The Tifosi, packed to the rafters, red everywhere, passion everywhere, smoke, flags, chants. It was electric. This was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it turned into a disaster. Let's just lay it out. Ferrari flopped in qualifying. No spin, no excuses. It was a complete failure. And if you're wondering how bad this was, Leclerc, knocked out in Q2, P11, missing Q3 by just over a tenth of a second. Hamilton, P12. And here's what hurts. He looked genuinely comfortable on Friday. But when it mattered, both cars were miles off the pace. And just like that, no Ferraris in Q3 at Imola. First time in the modern hybrid era. Drop a comment. Did you see this coming? Or were you, like most of us, expecting Ferrari to at least be in the mix? Because, man, this was historic and not in a good way. You could feel it in Leclerc's voice afterward. We are just P nowhere. That's what he said. And honestly, he's right. The SF25 has been inconsistent all season. Some weekends, it shows flashes of brilliance. Others, it's fighting off Alpines and Saubers. This weekend, it was nowhere. And here's the thing. This wasn't just a random off day. Ferrari fans have seen this before. The highs and lows, the empty promises, the confusing strategy calls, the mystery problems. At this point, it's not a fluke. It's a pattern. And for a team with this much history, that's not just frustrating. That's embarrassing. Let's talk numbers for a second. Because the margin that knocked Leclerc out of Q2, 0.12 seconds. That's all it took. Alex Albon in a Williams nailed a lap that put him through. Ferrari, out. And it gets worse. Leclerc was over 0.3 down in Sector 2. That's the heart of the lap. The chicanes, the medium speed changes of direction. That's where the Ferrari just couldn't rotate. And Hamilton, same story. He said the car felt decent on Friday, but then, in qualifying, zero grip. His second Q2 lap was actually slower than his first. Think about that. New tires, supposedly better track evolution, and he went backwards. He told the media, "We put on new tires, but for some reason, they didn't have any more grip." And that's not just a setup issue, that's a core problem. Tires are your entire contact with the ground. If they're not working, you're driving blind. If you were on Twitter during qualifying, it was a meltdown. Fans were losing it. How do you mess this up at home? This team breaks my heart every year. Ferrari is allergic to Q3. Brutal, but not inaccurate. Alright, let's really break it down. Because Ferrari's Q2 exit, it wasn't just unlucky, it was a fundamental collapse in multiple areas. Both Leclerc and Hamilton had brake problems on Friday. Leclerc described it as very tricky to stop the car, especially into turns 2 and 17. Ferrari worked overnight to try to fix it, but by Saturday, still not 100%. And here's the deal. If you don't trust your brakes, you don't push. You don't throw the car into the braking zone, you hesitate, you lose tenths. And at Imola, that's fatal. You back off for one corner and you're out of qualifying. After Ferrari's disastrous Q2 exit, team principal Fred Vasseur didn't hold back. His post-session comments made one thing crystal clear. Today, thousands of Tifosi were here to support us, and we did not get the job done, so we cannot be satisfied with our result. That's painful honesty right there, and the worst part? He's right. At one of Ferrari's most historic tracks, in front of thousands of passionate fans, the team collapsed under the pressure. But Vasseur didn't just stop at acknowledging the disappointment. He broke down why Ferrari failed. It was a very tough day for us, and as was the case in Miami, we were not able to improve our times on the new tires, doing our fastest lap in Q2 with the first set from Q1. The tire situation was strange for everyone today, but it seemed to affect us more than the others. This is huge. Vasseur is admitting that Ferrari faced the same issue at Miami, meaning it's not a one-off problem. And let's unpack what he said. Ferrari's fastest Q2 lap came from the same tyres they used in Q1. That shouldn't happen. New tyres are supposed to deliver more grip, more performance, but for Ferrari, they didn't. Other teams struggled too, but Ferrari was impacted the most. Why? Probably a combination of aero balance, mechanical grip, and setup choices, all pointing to deeper flaws in the car's performance window. This isn't just bad luck, it's something inherently wrong with Ferrari's ability to extract grip at crucial moments, and if Miami and Imola both exposed it, it's going to haunt them all season. Vasseur also admitted that Ferrari didn't execute the session properly. I also think we didn't execute the session as well as we could have done. Now this raises an important question. How much of this disaster was Ferrari's fault and how much was just bad tires? Because strategy execution matters, especially in conditions where grip and tire performance are unpredictable. Could Ferrari have done extra warm-up laps? Sent their cars out earlier in Q2 to get cleaner track conditions? Made more aggressive changes between Q1 and Q2 instead of sticking to what wasn't working? Ferrari didn't adapt fast enough, and in a season where every tenth of a second counts, that's a problem. Vasseur knows Sunday is going to be brutal, and he made it clear that Ferrari will need to take risks to get back into the fight. Tomorrow, it will be up to us to try and see what we can do. Even if we had good race pace on Friday, here is not the easiest place to overtake, so it will be a challenging afternoon, and we will probably have to take some risks, specifically in terms of the strategy, said Vasseur. Imola is notoriously difficult for overtaking, so Ferrari has two options. 1. Aggressive tyre strategy, starting on mediums and trying an undercut, or even going longer and hoping for track position gains. 2. Splitting approaches, Leclerc and Hamilton running different strategies to maximize Ferrari's chances. Either way, Ferrari cannot afford to play it safe. They have to take risks because another pointless finish in front of their home crowd. That's unacceptable. Vasseur's words were honest, direct, and telling. Ferrari failed, both technically and strategically. The worst part? These issues aren't simple fixes. Ferrari now faces a major tire activation flaw that cost them dearly in Miami and Imola. Execution errors that turned a bad situation into a complete failure. A high-risk race strategy gamble that could define their weekend. Imola was supposed to be a statement weekend for Ferrari. Instead, it exposed their biggest weaknesses. Can they recover in the race? Will the Barcelona upgrade fix these deep-rooted issues? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Here's the killer. Ferrari couldn't get the soft tires to switch on. While other teams like McLaren and Red Bull were talking about tire degradation, Ferrari couldn't even get the temperature into the rubber. So while everyone else was struggling to keep their softs alive, Ferrari couldn't even wake them up. It's like being late to a party and then showing up without pants. Now here's where it gets philosophical. Ferrari went for race pace in their setup. They figured, let's compromise qualifying a bit, but make sure we're fast on Sunday. That strategy only works if you still make Q3. Instead, they got burned. Aston Martin did the opposite. In fact, they sent both drivers out on medium tyres in Q3 and still crushed Ferrari's lap times. That's not just clever, that's embarrassing for Ferrari. They made the safer choice and still lost. Let's not forget, track evolution at Imola is always tricky. It's an older circuit, narrow, dusty, doesn't rubber in fast. Ferrari gambled on going out late in Q2 to catch the best conditions, but guess what? The track didn't evolve, wind picked up, grip dropped. Leclerc even said afterward, the lap wasn't bad, there was just nothing more in it. And Hamilton? His last lap was nearly identical to his first. It's like the car hit a ceiling and refused to go higher. So what now? Well, Ferrari has a massive update package coming for Barcelona. New floor, new rear wing, possible suspension tweaks. And Leclerc, he said it bluntly, it has to be a freaking good upgrade. No pressure, right? But here's the problem. Ferrari's updates in recent years. Inconsistent. Sometimes they work, like that Monza spec low drag wing. Other times, they just make things worse. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. And what about Hamilton? He left Mercedes for this? A 7-time world champion, stuck in Q2, looking confused in front of the media. If this continues, how long until frustration turns into tension? How long until Leclerc and Hamilton start fighting for influence inside the team? Remember, there's only one upgrade path, only one number one driver. You can't keep both happy forever. Let's be honest, this Q2 exit, it's not just a bad day. It's a warning shot. The competition is moving fast. McLaren, on fire. Mercedes, quietly improving. Red Bull, still the benchmark. If Ferrari doesn't respond fast, they could find themselves in a full-on midfield fight before summer. And remember, this is Ferrari at home. If you can't deliver at Imola, with the crowd, the motivation, the history, then what hope do you have at the power tracks like Silverstone or Spain? Let's talk about you guys for a second. What do you think is the biggest problem at Ferrari right now? Is it the car, the setup decisions, the drivers? Drop your take in the comments. I read all of them. And here's another question. What happens if this upgrade doesn't work in Spain? Do we start talking about 2026 already? Do they start sacrificing this season to focus on the new regs? Or do they double down and try to fight back right now? And finally, let's look ahead. Barcelona is next. High-speed corners, Brutal on tires. It's where we see the truth about a car. No flukes, no gimmicks. If Ferrari's new package doesn't show up there, they're in big trouble. To wrap this up, Ferrari's Imola disaster? It's more than just a bad weekend. It's a wake-up call. And let's be real, if the Barcelona upgrade doesn't deliver, 2025 might slip away before we even hit summer. And that's a wrap for this episode of F1 Pit Pass. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and let me know in the comments, can Ferrari turn this around? Catch you next time.